Hey folks, welcome back to the series where we build a video call app with durable objects. In the last video, we completed the backend piece and we added support for signaling through WebSocket. So if you missed that video, there's going to be a link in the top corner for you to go catch it. I'm going to show you how to set up the front-end starter code. Then I'll show you how to connect to a durable object given a particular call room ID. And lastly, we'll display the video of the local viewer so that they have a preview on their view. My name is Confident and I'm a developer advocate at Cloudflare. Let's get started. So let's head over to my IDE because I already have that starter code downloaded. In fact, if I do a quick ls, you see we have the starter folder, and this is also the backend folder we created from the last video. So what I'm going to do here is I'm first going to rename client starter to Veet Frontend. So let's start with that, and then we can cd into Veet Frontend. All right, and I am just going to open this up. All right, and what I'm going to do is delete this because we don't know what that is yet. All right, so first thing I'm going to do here is you can see the entire project structure. In fact, I can quit and let's do a quick tree. So this is what the project structure looks like. We have a public folder, we have a couple of images, and we have a couple of CSS, HTML, and JavaScript files, as you can see. So going to open that up one more time. I'm going to make a few changes here because the name of the app is not what the folder says right now. So I'll need to do a quick rename. So this should be Veet Frontend. All right, let's save that. And also try to open up the package.json and let's do the exact same thing. All right, so that's good now. Okay, so we have the app properly named. Now, the next thing I'll do is open up a terminal to install all of the project dependencies using npm. So open the terminal up and type in npm install. And we have the project dependencies installed, and we can start a local dev server by running npm start. All right, so we have a local dev server running on port 8788. We can open this up in the browser, and here is the landing page for the Veet project. So like you already guessed, the starter code already contains most of the UI components. So you have the HTML files and some CSS files. We'll be writing the JavaScript together to put this app working or to make this app working. So all of the UI is already done. You can take a look at what that looks like, and we can actually do this together right now. So if we close this and we go back up on the public folder, you notice we have two sets of files. We have the index.css, HTML, and JS. That is all of the code for the landing page you just saw. Then we also have the call.css, HTML, and JS. That is going to be for the actual video calling page, which is what we'll be building. And you don't have to worry about the landing page because all it is doing right now is starting up a call or joining a call. So you have a button to join a call. You also have a button to create a new call. So join button, new call button. And the way it works is that when you click on the new call button, a random ID is generated, and that gets set to what the call path is. So that's going to be the ID that connects both clients together, and that is generated on the client or on the front end here. Heading back to the browser, if you click on the new button, a new call button, you notice we're taken to the call page, and then we have an ID, a random ID appended. So this is going to be the call ID that connects both clients to be in the same call room. And of course, this is the call page, so we can go take a look at what that is. I'm going to delete this. So if we go back to public, we have the HTML file here. I'm just going to close the terminal because we don't need to keep that view open. So this is the HTML file for the call page. And something you notice is that we have two video elements. This is the video element for the other calling client. That is the client who is going to be joining the call. Then this is also the video preview of what my video looks like. So I'll be able to see what my video preview looks like on the call. Then we also have a couple of button controls. We have an image. We have a button to control the audio, so you can mute and unmute the audio. We have a button to control the video, so you can start or stop the video. Then we also have an end call button that is going to end the call. And that is what the HTML looks like. So for the JavaScript, let's go to call.js. This is where we're actually going to be doing all of the work in the next coming videos. So starting with this one, we're going to work on the JavaScript to ensure that this app is functional, because all we have right now is just an application shell, which is a great starting point, but we need to write some codes to actually make this work together. All right, so this has been how to get the front-end starter code set up. The next thing I'm going to do is show you how to connect to a durable object, giving a particular call ID, because the call ID is going to be the link between the two clients who are going to be on the same call. Okay, so for us to start writing some code, I just want to quickly go over what we already have right here on the call.js file. So we have a couple of variables. We have the myVid element, which points to the myVideo element you saw on the HTML page. We also have the pairVid element, which is the video preview of the other calling party. Then we have the buttons for the video control, the end call button, and also the audio button. And then we also have this object called environment. So the environment object is going to help us configure what the endpoints are when we are developing locally or when we have the application deployed. So for instance, this is the local endpoint for our WebSocket server. So you have env.websocket, and this is it. It's going to be running on port 8787. Then this is also the environment for the Stun servers we're going to be using in this video. I'll explain what that is later on. You don't have to worry about it. But what this code says right now is that during local development, which is what we have right here, when we're running on localhost, use these variables. And then when we have the app deployed, we'll come back to work on this to-do part of the application. So let's start writing some code. Like I mentioned, the first thing we'll be doing here is connecting to a durable object, giving a particular call ID. So let's create a couple of variables that is going to let us do that. The first thing I'm going to do is create a WebSocket variable. Then I'm also going to create a local stream variable. Then we're also going to have a remote stream variable. And lastly, we're going to have a pair connection variable. All right, that looks good. The next thing we'll do is create a function to start up the connection with our WebSocket backend. So what I'm going to do before actually writing that code is I'm going to head over to the backend project, and I need to ensure that this is running. So I'm going to run an npm start, and we have the backend, which has WebSocket and durable objects running right now. Now heading back to the front end, what I'm going to do is write a function that connects our client to the backend using WebSocket. So this is going to be an anonymous function, and we're just going to execute it immediately after it's declared. So this is a sync function, no parameters. This is the function body, and we are going to run this right away. In this function, we're going to grab the ID from the URL. So remember, when we go to create a new call, let's head back to the browser. We have a call ID, which is everything over here. So let's grab that ID and let's use it to go connect to a durable object. So let's head back to the IDE. So const ID is going to be equal to new URL search params. All right. And we want to pass in location dot search. All right. And what we want to do is we want to get the ID. So this is going to be get I. All right. If we don't have an ID, we want to return, because there's no point continuing this code. The next thing we want to do is, if we have an ID, we want to connect to our WebSocket backend. So this is going to be using the WebSocket variable we declared over here. So we're going to make use of this right now. So this is WebSocket equal to new WebSocket. All right. And here's where we want to pass the endpoint of the WebSocket server we are connecting to, and we'll need some template string for that. So the first thing we'll need to do is pass in the WebSocket host and port, which we can grab from env.websocket. Then we also want to pass the path we are trying to connect to, which we can grab from the ID we just got from the URL. And that's virtually it. Then when we receive a message from this WebSocket connection, we want to be able to handle that message. So I'm going to do a WebSocket.on message. All right. And this is going to be a function called handle message. handle messages. All right. Then when we have a connection created on the WebSocket protocol, we want to send a message to the server and also to every other client that, hey, we just joined, so that everyone knows that someone else just joined. So let's send a message when we have an open connection on the protocol. So this is going to be websocket.onOpen. All right. And this is going to be a function that sends a message. And this message will need to be stringified. In fact, all of the messages we are going to be sending will need to pass them as strings. So for that, I'm just going to quickly create a helper function called WSSend. You can call this whatever you like, but this is going to be called WSSend. And this is going to be a function that takes some payload. And what it does is, using the WebSocket variable, it sends a message and stringifies the payload. So this is going to be json.stringify data. All right. And now we can head back here and actually use WSSend. So this is going to be WSSend. And what we want to do is send an object that says type equals joined. All right. And we are almost good to go. Now, remember that we have a handle message function. So let's also go to implement that. So this is going to be an async function called handle messages. And this is also going to take an event. All right. And what we want to do is grab the message from the event. So this is going to be const msg equal to json.parse e.data. And we can just log that message, console.log msg. Looks like I have a typo here, so this should be const. All right, so all of that looks lovely, and I think we can give this a try. So I have my WebSocket backend running. I have the front-end code to connect to it done. Now let's head to the browser and see if all of this works. So I am going to open up the console so that we see if we have any messages. Okay, so all of this is good and fine. Now let's go on to reload and see if this works. Yeah, and it does. Nothing fantastic happens, but we have that connection. And how do we know this? It's because when we connect it to the backend is automatically going to send a message saying, hey, I know you're connected. I'm ready to receive messages from you. So we have that ready true message. And this is our client ID. This is the client ID on the WebSocket connection. And this is the message from the backend saying, hey, we received your message. We know that you're a live connection and you can start working with us. So heading back to the code, let's go take a look at the backend. You can see that we have a request to the path which matches the call ID on the client. And you also see that we have a status 101, which means we're switching from HTTPS to WebSocket, and that connection is live right now. So that is actually awesome. So we've established the connection to the backend. Now I'm also going to show you how to display the local video of the calling client on the UI. So let's do that next. And here, what I want to do is create a function to start the local playback of the video and also display it on the UI. So I'll create a function called start local playback. It's as simple as that. It's also going to be an async function. So this is async function. This is going to be called start local playback. Okay, we don't have any params. And what we're going to do here is basically we're going to request for a webcam using the browser. So the browser is going to ask the user to give it permissions to access the webcam. And we need to tell it what kind of webcam we need for this application. And we do that by creating a config object. So this is const config. All right. And the configuration object is going to contain everything we need to access the video coming from the webcam of the user's device. So this is video. So we want a video, and this video also has to have some configuration. We want to tell it what video width and height we're trying to request so that the browser knows what camera to request for in a situation where the user has multiple web cameras or multiple cameras connected to the same computer. So what we're going to do here is configure the width. All right. And for the width, we want a camera with a minimum width of 1280 pixels. Ideally, we want a camera with a width of 1920 pixels. All right, so that's for the width. Then we also want to configure the height. And you already guessed this. We're going to have a minimum height of 720 and an ideal video height of 1080. So what this means is that the browser will try to check for both 720p cameras and 1080p cameras. And if any of this is available, the browser will show that up on the list so that the user gets to select what camera they want to use for the app. Then lastly, we also want to ensure that we're grabbing the user's audio, because this is all for video. We also want to get audio from the webcam. So audio is going to be true. So this is also going to prompt the user to select a microphone. Most webcams have inbuilt mics, so that's going to be done automatically for us. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to use this configuration to request for a media device. I'm going to save this in the local stream variable. So local stream equal to await navigator.media devices .get user media, and then we'll pass the config. All right. And when this is done, we have like a local stream containing the user's video and audio. The next thing I want to do is display it on the app UI. So this is going to be my Veet.src object. And we want to pass the local stream. All right, so that's all we need to do for this to work. Then lastly, we want to call the start local playback function. So we're going to await start local playback, and we should be good to go. All right, that is awesome. So let's head over to the browser and see if this works. And I'm going to reload this. So if it's your first time running this app, you should see a pop-up to allow both camera and mic access. So go ahead to allow it. And you can see that we have some video and also audio coming through. And of course, we have the WebSocket connection going. So with this, I can close this up. The calling client has a preview of what their video looks like before the answering client joins the call. So they can see what their preview looks like. If they need to make adjustments, they can also do that. We'll be seeing later on in the video that we have controls over here and would wire them up so you can mute your mic and also stop your video. We'll also get that done. Awesome. In the next video, I'll show you how to implement making a WebRTC call and having the other client or the other pair answer the call. Don't forget to get subscribed to the channel so that you don't miss our next video, and take care. Bye.